So yeah, guys, hi. It's just gone midnight. I know I've got that part three coming tomorrow, but I just want to talk about something a little bit different. I want to talk about addiction and withdrawal, specifically when you're doing withdrawal from heroin and plucking from the gear. Coming off the brown in prison in the nick. Really, it's like doing double time. Because during that time, you're not going to be sleeping at all for the first few weeks, possibly longer, if you was coming off the amount of stuff that I was coming off. I mean, when I first went into Wormwood Scrubs, 91, I just turned 21, and I got remanded in custody. I was on B wing, really long wing, on in an old Victorian nick, Wormwood Scrubs, Duquesne Road. And yeah, that was a bit of a shock. But I just want to say, in them days, when I was 21, by the time I was 21, I'd already been using the brown for 6 years, since I was 15. And also, I'd been on a methadone prescription since 1988. So I'd been on a meth script, so that's everyday methadone for 3 years, and all the other stuff I was doing as well, benzos, which I had a prescription of, loads of amphetamines as well, intravenously, crack as well, but the main thing is, was the heroin, coming off the heroin and not getting anything, no medication for opiate withdrawal at all, from the prison services back then. This is 91 in Wormwood Scrubs, and it was torture, to be honest with you. What they offered me, what they did give me, and I did take it, was some amitriptyline liquid, which was, you used to have to go down to the hatch and they'd pour it out into those little plastic measures, and you get a top full of that yellow amitriptyline liquid and a tot of this other medication called Meloril, which is actually thorazine, and that was like a pink liquid, and that was what they give you. And what you got to remember is, right, yeah, I've been on heroin for 6 years, and also on top of that, 3 years of methadone every day as well, which was, I was on a legal, legitimate prescription for that with a clinic. So I should have got that, but I didn't get anything apart from those two things. And also I should have been getting benzos. I got nothing. And I tell you, mate, it was torture. It's one of the worst experiences I've ever had. And another thing about it as well, in the cells there, in the scrubs then, there was no toilets in the cells. It was slop outs. No toilet, no sink in there. It was a double cell. My cellmate was all right, luckily, because I was in a right bad way. Anthony McCoy, that was, from West London. And he knew a mate of mine, Reese Murphy, yeah. So that's how we got talking, he was already in the cell and he was on remand as well, So that was B-wing, yeah. So for the toilet there, you had a piss pot, it's like a plastic pot with a lid on it and a handle on it for carrying it into the slop out rooms, for the ablutions or whatever you want to call it. And also you got a plastic bowl, a round plastic bowl, and a plastic jug, a big white plastic jug, and when you went for slop outs, you'd have to fill that up with water and have a strip wash. Yeah, and it was all prison clothes back then. You couldn't wear your own clothes or nothing still. No tellies, there was no nothing. There was no kettles. What you got was a tea urn, and the food, it was still metal trays and all that, So, everything moved really fast, because you was banged up all the time. If you weren't working, you'd be banged up in the cell all day long, apart from exercise yard. I remember going out on exercise yard, it was mad, it's like I'd just come out of a dark hole, where I'd been clucking all night and all that, and it was all bright outside, the sun was shining, and it's a big yard in the scrubs, and it was really cosmopolitan, there's all these guys from different countries there, this guy from Afghanistan, and they're still wearing the robes, the clothes that they wear in their own country, where they've been nicked for smuggling. Yeah, this guy from Afghanistan, he was a diplomat's son, and I think he was with the father, and he got caught Smuggling, heroin, and some other guys were in there from Colombia, you know, and they was walking around the yard with their sort of like cowboy hats on and snakeskin leather, you know, cowboy boots and that with the jeans tucked in, you know. So yeah, and the reason it was so cosmopolitan because at the time the scrubs dealt with all the drug smugglers that were getting caught at Heathrow Airport, you know, which is just down the road from there. But what I really want to talk about is the withdrawal, you know. So yeah, they wasn't giving you no medication, you didn't get anything in those days, even if you was on prescribed it on the out, you know. Didn't get anything. Like I say, the amitriptyline, you know, is an antidepressant. It's no good for heroin withdrawal. It's an antidepressant. It's got a slight sedative effect, and all it does really is make your mouth all stuck together and give you a gammy tongue and make you feel a bit worse, you know. Makes all your vision funny and that. It didn't do anything for me. I mean, they might help you sleep a bit further down the line, but not on day 1, 2 or 3. And also this stuff, Meloril, or Thorazine it's called, and which has been banned now. And originally they used to give that in hospitals in the UK to people in the hospital who had Down syndrome to stop them procreating, you know, because it's got a certain side effect. You know, it's an antipsychotic, you know, and it's not really a sleeping tablet, but basically when you're clucking and you want to sit there moving around and all that, it makes it worse. It makes it like you can't move, and it actually makes you feel worse, you know. And like I say, the side effect is to stop you coming and all that, you know, because when you do heavy withdrawal off heroin, you know, all your sensations come back, you know, because you've been numb for so long, you know. And I didn't sleep for days and days, you know, and my cellmate was really all right, you know, Anthony McCoy from West London, and he knew a friend of mine on the out, Reese Murphy, yeah. So that's how we got talking and got on all right, you know, because he knew a friend that I knew. And like I say, it's in a double cell, you know, and basically a lot of you will know when you're going through heroin withdrawal, because when you're on heroin for a long time, it gives you constipation. So when you come off, you know, you're going to have loose bowels and all that, you know, and basically in there's no toilet, and, you know, you only get out of toilet when they let you out at meal time, you know. So when it's meal times, you got to go to slop out, get your water, and then run down, you know, everything's really quick. Go down to the servery, down the stairs or whatever landing you're on, you know. I think I was on the ones. Go down the stairs, get your breakfast or lunch or dinner or whatever. During that time, do your slop outs and anything else you got to do, and then it's back into yourself a bang up, you know. And of course, you do get the exercise. Like I was just saying about the exercise, yeah, really cosmopolitan jail. But the thing about that was, like when you're banged up like that and you got the runs, you know, you got the shits in the middle of the night when you're having when you're really clucking bad, I mean heavy, serious withdrawal from heroin, you know, you're going to shit yourself and that. And there's no toilet. So basically what you have to do, you know, you have to shit on a newspaper and, you know, fold it up and chuck it out the window, because in there's old cells, they got the crisscross bars at the windows in the scrubs, you know, and you have to chuck it out. You know, whether you're withdrawing or not, you know, when you've been in there for a little while, you get a body clock going and you end up going to the toilet the same day, you know, at 8 a.m. in the morning or 7:30 or whatever, you know, it's 8 a.m. when you're getting unlocked, you know, you have to go in the toilet on the landing, you know. So after a while, that becomes like clockwork. But you know, a lot of guys have to do the same thing, even if they're not doing withdrawal. You know, if you got to go, you got to go. And when you do look out the window of the cell, you would see down on the ones there, it is just full of shit parcels. The whole fucking floor, you know, all along the wall, it's just full of them. Really horrible place, really brutal place, Wormwood Scrubs. Really bad regime back then. So yeah, it wasn't a good experience, I can tell you. But what happened with me that time, you know, I was having to, you know, go back to court on production. I think it was Marlborough Street. Yeah, it was Marlborough Street, and I was up for kiting. When I say kiting, doing checkbook and card fraud and that. I'd been nicked in the West End, you know, at a bureau to change, cash in some bent checks, stolen checkbook and card, you know, and doing them at 50 quid a time with a check guarantee card, you know. What I'd do, if it was a hard signature to forge, you know, what we used to do, we used to get the cards, get these things called stain devils. I mean, people used to use brake fluid before stain devils, but these things, stain devils, were better. And then you put some drops on the back of the credit card or the check guarantee card, and it'd pull the signature out, it'd pull the ink out, and then you'd re-sign it, you know. I mean, sometimes when people sign them things, they'd leave an indentation, but you know, you could make it look a lot better if you couldn't forge the signature by doing it that way. But it's all changed now, it's all chip and pin, it's all different, you know. Back in them days, kiting was more of an art form, you know. So yeah, I'd been doing that, and like I say, what happened after being on remand for a few weeks and going production, I'd gone back to Marlborough Street, you know, as this case is going on, and I got remanded again, you know, back, you know, I still hadn't got bail, and we got back to the prison, and it was gone 8:30, and it was during the time when all the prisons were really full up and there was lockouts, meaning if the bus didn't get back by 8:30 into the prison, then you couldn't come in. And this was the time when the prison service, the police were still doing transports, you know, so you'd go via Lambeth holding cells and stuff like that, you know. But I can do loads of videos and all that stuff, you know. And yeah, so basically, when I'd been at court, we got back so late from Marlborough Street to the Scrubs, we couldn't get in the gate, so the bus had to take us into Horseferry Road, I think it was. I think it was either Horseferry Road or Cannon Row, but I'd have to check. And basically, I was in police custody, which in a lot of ways, it was a little bit better than the Scrubs, and in a lot of ways, it was worse, you know. Pros and cons of it, you know. There's still no toilet in the cell or nothing like that. You know what police cells were like back in the days, but they did put a telly outside, you know, so you could watch the telly through the little square hatch in the police cell door and that, you know. And obviously they let you out for a toilet. And also, if you had money, they'd go to the shop and go to takeaways for you, you know, if you had the money. If you didn't have the money, it would be just like the police cell food you'd get, you know, rubber egg and the beans and shitty sausage and all that, you know. But like I say, if you had cash, you know, they'd go out to the shops for you, because for the coppers doing that job, they was on double money, you know. So yeah, it was easy work for them. And also, you could have a visit, yeah, but also a visitor, I mean, you could have a visit, but it had to be arranged. I didn't have a visit there, but you could have a visitor, could come up and bring in newspaper, pies, you know, food, all that sort of stuff, you know. And I've been in there a few times, but what happened was, I went to court again, Marlborough Street, and I think it was Marlborough Street, whatever court it was, I was in the police custody right next to the court. So I think it might have been Horseferry Road, I can't remember. But basically what happened was, you know, I'd left basically I've been up and I got bail, basically after a couple of months I've been away. I got bail on a surety of 500 quid. My dad put 500 quid up, which is a lot of money back then for that offence. So I got bail for surety, and also, you know, at the time I'd been banned from the West 1 area, so that was part of the conditions of the bail, that I couldn't go into the West End, you know. So if I'd been nicked in the West End, I would have been remanded again. So, but basically, when I got bail, I had to go back down into the police custody suite, you know, and they do the forms and wait for it all to come through on a fax machine, it was back then. And while I'm down there waiting, this cellmate I had, because I was in a double, and you know what the police cells are like. One of us had to sleep on the floor, on the blue rubber, you know, them blue plastic mattresses, and one of the other guys, like me, I think I was on the floor, I can't remember, and the other one would be on, you know, the wooden bench with the blue mattress on, you know, and you got, you know what them cells are like, and you got that glass, there's no window, you know what I mean, horrible. So yeah, so basically I've got bail, and I think I've done this story before, and my cellmate, he pulled out this old tenner out of his shoe, this Irish guy, and he was really sick still, you know, he'd just come off the street, you know, a few days before, and he wanted me to go, if I'd go and score for him, you know, and a lot of people that are on heroin or can do pretty scummy things, and they would have took that tenner and ripped him off, you know, and I said, yeah, all right, I'll do it. And I'm a man of my word, even though I've been on heroin, I've always kept my word a lot of the time. And basically, yeah, I had to go and score for him, but I was going to score for myself anyway. But I had to go to Kennington to score, and there was no one there, and then we had to go to Forest Hill on a bus. And then, you know, the other thing he says, oh, if you are going to do it, can you put it in a syringe for us and all that, you know. And, you know, I remember I've just got out and I've got to smuggle this back in. So this bird, Maria, from Kennington, she was Portuguese bird, a dancer, but sadly she died, you know, a few years later of HIV or AIDS. You know, she was a ballerina. And, yeah, she came with me. I was getting something for her. No, she waited in Kennington in her flat, and I went to Forest Hill, see Charlie Allen to score, and he used to serve up like ounces and stuff, you know, of brown, but I wasn't getting that much, you know, I was only getting a gram or something, you know, a bit for me and a bit for her, and then a little bag for Tomo in police custody. So basically I've gone back there, had a hit with her, she's had a hit, and then basically I've gone to the shop, bought a meat pie and a newspaper and some sweets and something, and I've made him up a bag, you know, like a £20 bag or whatever it would have been. It was a lot more than a tenner's worth, you know, equivalent of, say, a £20 bag, about 3 McDonald's spoons I give him, and I wrapped that up, you know, bit of cling film around it or whatever, and then I opened the pie, you know, a meat pie in a silver tray like Peter's pies from the chippy. I've opened that and pulled it open, and basically I've hid the gear inside the pie, you know, cut a little slit in the meat pie, hid the heroin inside the meat pie, you know, put the meat pie back in the tray, put it back in the cellophane that it's wrapped in, and I've had some Pritt stick and I've glued it back together, you know, and then I've got a carrier bag, put the pie in the bag with the Sun newspaper or whatever, and a few sweets and a tin of Coke. And me and Maria, we got the bus back to Horseferry Road to the police custody suite, and I said, go in there and say you got some food for Tomo, yeah. I think his name was Thomas Dunn actually, but this was about 1991, maybe even the end of 1990, when I just turned 21. So basically she went in there with a carrier bag, and like I say, that was the perk of being in police custody. You could have food brought in and all that, and she handed it into him and all that, yeah. And she come out, and I said, did they give it to him and all that? And she said, yeah, they took it and that. And I said, all right, but you don't know for sure where they give it to him. So what we did, we sat down for a minute, had a coffee or whatever, and then I sent her back in, and she confirmed that he'd got the food and all that, because he couldn't actually talk to him and all that, you know. So yeah, that's the sort of person I was. I wasn't no fucking smackhead scumbag, mate. I never have been, you know. But a lot of people are in that life. Anyway, just a quick little story there. I mean, I was trying to do a live earlier on my tablet, but I was tinkering about with it, you know, and I went straight on there, and there was like 5 viewers straight away. So, and someone said, hello brother. I don't know who it was, but I'm saying hello to you now, mate, because I couldn't see it properly because I didn't have my glasses handy, and you know, I must have looked like a right idiot. But you know, I'm still trying to work all this tech out, so really I could possibly do a live on my phone, or really what I need is to buy a laptop or something, you know. I need some decent tech. But you know, I have got memberships to this channel now, you know, and if you want, you know, some inside stories on crime, drugs, prison, you know, I've got 40 years worth of experience in that game. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, you know. But I've changed the pricing on it, so you can join on induction. My level 1 is the first level is called induction on this channel, and you can join that for 99p a month. So that's less than £1, you know. And if you don't like it, you can change it. So yeah, I just thought I'd put that out there. And there will be a part 3 today. I know this is a bit of a late one for me, but you know what it's like, guys, when you can't sleep. You know, sometimes it just happens. It does with me anyway. You know, I was on drugs for virtually 40 years, so I still haven't got a proper sleeping pattern, you know, because I'm still coming off a bit of medication, and I'm still on 40 mils still. So, you know, I've got a lot going on. But I feel like I've got a lot to offer, you know. You know, so for this channel, I mean, you know, so yeah. And anyway, look, I want to get this uploaded and see how it goes and see if it gets any views. If it does over 1,000, I'll leave it up and maybe do some more stories. But yeah. So anyone that's watching it, thanks, and maybe have a think about joining the channel, eh, guys? Cheers.